Either way, though, I mean, it's unfortunate that I played the Shadow Skull or the Kazul's Cliffs. Now I'm regretting doing that, but I didn't expect them to. Oh no, 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 no! Oh my. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Ormi. Today we're going to be doing two things. First, we're going to be discussing the cards in Historic Anthology 4, what they've done for Historic so far, and where I see them in the future, as well as my overall thoughts of the anthology itself after a week or two of it being out. Next, we're also going to play some Rakdos Death Shadow in Historic, except in Best of 1, which is a thing I actually haven't done on this channel yet, but I think that's actually really good in Best of 1, but not that good in Best of 3, so we're going to be doing that right after the discussion part of the video. So 2 videos ago, I actually talked about the banning of Uro, and did a sort of discussion type video part of it, and then did some gameplay, and it's honestly it was really received really well. It's one of the most viewed videos on my channel, so thank you all so much for checking it out, and so that actually led to me thinking that I should do another one, so here it is. So hopefully you like it. So far Historic Anthology 4 has impacted Historic a lot, but less than some people actually thought it would. So let's just jump right into it, starting with White, and honestly one of the best cards in Historic Anthology 4, I think, Thraben Inspector. Thraben Inspector is a staple in older formats. It's actually seen a surprising amount of play. The card might look underpowered, but people who have played with this card know that it's actually quite good. Now, in Historic itself, it's really only seen play in mono white. Some sort of Azorius Blink deck also could take advantage of it, but Azorius Blink isn't very good right now, with or without Thraben Inspector. However, Thraben Inspector in mono white doesn't take full advantage of the clue. If there's ever something like a Murder Vehicles deck, which is where Thraben Inspector saw play in Standard, it was one of the many decks that saw playing in Standard during its time, then we could see Thraben Inspector utilized to the max, as if you can actually get the value off the clue and have time to crack it, then Thraben Inspector becomes really nuts. And then the good part of Thraben Inspector is also it could just be a 1-mana 1/2 when you need it, but just the option for the extra value makes Thraben Inspector a very good card. So next up, we've got cards that should have been in remastered sets. Number 1, Adored Pouncer is quite bad. The only place it could ever see play is in a cat tribal deck. It's not good, and this card is just really underwhelming. Should have just been in Amonkhet Remastered. Now, next up, we actually have a pretty interesting card, Declaration in Stone, from the same set as Thraben Inspector, and this one, also a pretty solid card, but I think a lot worse than its counterpart. So Declaration in Stone is a 2-mana removal spell that exiles target creature and all other creatures its control controls with the same name as that creature, and then they get a clue token for each non-token creature, and then clue tokens, just artifacts that for 2 you can sack them to draw cards. So Declaration in Stone saw a decent bit of play while it was in Standard, but I don't think it's going to be good as good as in Historic, because we already have good removal in Historic in White. Stuff like Baffling End for small creatures and Wraths. So Declaration in Stone gets worse once there are other options, and also because I don't think just Declaration in Stone is that good of a card. Ultimately, if you just 1-for-1 your opponent with a removal spell and they get a clue token, this card's bad. You need to be hitting multiple creatures, but really you don't get that much of an opportunity to do so in Historic, and there are also a lot of decks not playing very many creatures, so I think Declaration in Stone, while it's definitely a strong card, I think a little bit underpowered for Historic, and so far, we haven't seen it do very much. Next up, we've got just a jank bulk mythic. Hasn't done something yet, will probably never do anything, but I guess it's cool stuff like Scholar of the Lost Trove. Next up, we've got Icebreak Cancrex. Now this was a bit of an exciting card, but it's so far kind of flopped. 2-mana 0/4, whenever one of those no permanent enters the battlefield under control, you may have target player mill 2 cards. So the big part about this card is that you can mill yourself as well. So if there's ever a dredge deck that really needs to mill itself, Icebreak Cancrex might show up in it, but in normal Mono Blue or Dimir Mill, this is a much worse Rune Crab. You need to play Snowlands and a bunch of snow permanents, and it's still just worse because it's 2 mana and you only mill 2 cards. This card, very underwhelming, though, does have some space to do some stuff, given some cards entering the format. Next up, we've got Marit Lage's Slumber. More of a janky build around, but also pretty cool. Marit Lage, you scry whenever a snow permanent enters the battlefield, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more snow permanents, you sack it and create a 20/20 black avatar creature token with Flying Indestructible. Now this card Probably never going to be good, hasn't so far, but it's a cool build around. You can combine it with Fling and stuff if you can get the proc, and you can definitely just do some like fun stuff with it. So I don't think it's a bad inclusion to the Historic Anthology. Not something for more competitive players to actually need to keep an eye on though. Next we've got Think Twice, a card that has been good for a while and has also been not great for I think just as long. So Think Twice, 2-mana draw card, flashback for 3. A lot of decks used to play this card back in the day, control decks and stuff, but I just don't think it's very good anymore. It gets outclassed by a lot of the other card draw in Historic, though the one thing is it's pretty good to hold up as an instant speed spell to cast if your opponent doesn't play into your counterspell. Ultimately, I don't think Think Twice will see play. I do think it'll see a little bit of play just because of the nostalgia factor, but I don't think it's actually worth more than like a singular slot in the 60 or 75 of a control deck. Next up, we've got Death Shadow. Honestly, my favorite card from the Historic Anthology, and I'm just really in love with this card. A lot of other people as well. It's seeing a ton of play, probably the most played card from Historic Anthology 4, and it's been surprisingly lackluster, but there are several reasons for that. So Death Shadow, 1 mana, 13/13, gets -X, where X is your life total. So you need to be on 12 life or below to be able to cast this card, and then it just progressively grows as your life total diminishes. But if you ever gain life and go above 12, you will unfortunately die. So the way to build around this card is basically just to deal yourself a bunch of damage. It's not like a sideboard card against mono red. You really want to be like actively damaging yourself and taking advantage of this big beater, this big cheap beater. And Death Shadow has been a staple in a lot of older formats. There are definitely modern and legacy decks with it, especially modern decks. Modern Death Shadow is actually a very, very real archetype, and at times one of the top archetypes. And in Historic, there are less pieces. We don't have fetch lands. We do, however, have MDFCs that are lands that you can pay a 3 life for. We've got shock lands. We've got the lands that you need to pay a life to add a colored mana. So there's a lot of ways to lower your life total, as well as stuff like Thoughtseize or Murder Strider. So Death Shadow definitely has a lot of support. The big thing is Death Shadow not really good against Sack, and Sack is one of the most popular decks in Historic. So I think one of the big reasons why over the past week or two, Death Shadow, while it's been played a lot, hasn't been winning a lot, and hasn't been in any sort of challenges or stuff in the top 8s, is because it gets ruined by Claim the Firstborn, and you also want to be playing stuff like Scourge of Skyclaves with it, and Scourge of Skyclaves gets absolutely ruined by Cauldron Familiar because they gain life, and Juntz actually tends to have a lot of life gains. So Death Shadow, very, very fun. Definitely very, very high potential as well. Unfortunately, in the current metagame, don't think it's super viable. However, I'm going to be playing a Death Shadow deck later in the video because I just love this card so much. I was playing Scourge of Skyclaves Death Shadow decks before Death Shadow even came to Historic. One last thing to note, if you're going to play this card, know how the combat math works. It's really weird. Like, Death Shadow math is just completely whack. Imagine the scenario. You're on 10, your opponent is attacking you with 2/3/3s, you have a Death Shadow in play. You block one of the 3/3s with your 3/3 Death Shadow. Now, you'd think that what happens is your Death Shadow dies, your opponent's 3/3 dies, the other one hits you for 3, you go down to 7. But actually what happens is your opponent hits you down to 7, their 3/3 dies, your Death Shadow takes 3 damage, goes to a 6/6, and survives with 3 damage marked on it. It's really weird and pretty unintuitive, so just keep an eye out for that. And I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of resources online to help you with the more nuanced interactions. I could go on about Death Shadow for a while. Okay, next up, we've got card that should have been in a remastered set, Part 2. Emit Eternal is quite bad. It's never going to see play in any competitive deck, and even for the janky decks, like, this card should have just been in the Anthology. I don't know why it's wasting space in, or should have been the remastered set. I don't know why it's wasting space in the Anthology, so yeah. And, I mean, next up, that's number 3, Faith of the Devoted. Really just not a great cycling path, especially since with Lurrus you don't want to be playing 3 CMC permanents, so this card, just another stinker, should have been in the Amonkhet Remastered, and it's just wasting space. Next up, we've got, you'll never guess it, another card that should have been in the remastered set. Torment of Scarabs is probably one of the worst cards in this anthology. It's just quite bad, and again, it's never going to see play. Not even janky decks can really take advantage of this card, and it definitely should have just been one of the uncommons for draft. I don't know why it's doing in the anthology. Next up, we've got a card that should have been a remastered set, but it's actually quite good, so I'm glad it's here. It's Flameblade Adept. Now, Flameblade Adept, 1 mana, 1/2 menace. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, it gets +1/+0 until end turn. So we've seen this card in Modern and Legacy as a payoff for discarding cards in Hollow One decks with stuff like Goblin Lore and Faithless Looting. And while in Historic we don't have exactly the same pieces, we do have a Hollow One, but we don't have a lot of the mass discard spells. We do have a cycling deck. So far, this card hasn't seen a ton of play, but that's mostly because the cycling decks actually haven't been that popular, even with the addition of Flameblade Adept. However, I do think it's a very solid addition to the cycling decks. Not cycling itself is somewhat of a downside, but playing this on turn 1 as a backup Fox is quite good, since the deck would struggle a lot if it didn't have a turn 1 flourishing Fox. So, next up, we've got Goblin Cavalier. Honestly, the best part about this card is definitely the art. Past that, it's pretty meh. Like, maybe a dedicated equipment deck will be able to use this at some point, but so far has not been impressive, and I don't think it will continue to be impressive. I think it will continue to not be impressive. Next up, we've got Harmless Offering. Now, this card, as you can probably tell, doesn't have too many applications when it comes to winning consistently, but I mean, the art, like, come on, look at that. Like, the cat's got a tail, and the tail's got a mouth. Like, what more could you ask for? This card, 3 mana, target opponent controls of target permanent control. Now, with this certain 4 mana enchantment that I definitely did not forget the name of, that I'm going to put on screen to disguise the fact that I forgot the name of, is quite good with this card because you can choose the first 3 modes and then give it to your opponent. They have to choose the 4th one, they lose the game. So Harmless Offering, that's pretty much like that type of thing is what you want to be doing with Harmless Offering. Now, there are a ton of different things you can do with Harmless Offering. That's just the most prominent example, and probably the only thing that this card's going to really do. So far, we've seen like a double Splinter Twin deck with Harmless Offering plus the certain 4 mana black enchantment that I definitely know the name of, as well as Valkyrie plus Release to the Winds, and in the sort of like Grixis control style, Sheld's trying to just win the game with either just like controlling the game or with a 2-card combo. However, I don't think this card's really got any applications when it comes to building a tier 1 or tier 2 deck. However, it's very cool, and it's definitely led to some fun stuff and will continue doing so as well. So I'm glad to see it in the anthology. Next up, we've got a bit of an underpowered elf card. This card has been solid in Commander. Like, it's a good Commander card. Unfortunately, not quite good enough for Constructed. As a 4-mana 3/3 without an immediate effect. And, you just have better options at 4 mana for elves even. You've got like a 2/3 that can draw you cards. You've got like Collected Company and stuff. So Lissalon Huntmaster, not really going to see play unless you're short on playables. Next up, we've got Spider Spawning, a card which has been a favorite in Limited for people who drafted Innistrad back in the day. However, not got much constructed applications. It's expensive, requires setup, and this card, definitely fun. Haven't seen it be good yet, and I don't think I will. Next up, we've got Sawtusk Demolisher. One of these cards that I was a little bit more excited for than the rest. Like, if you could play in Gruul aggro with stuff like Stonecoil Serpents, you could mutate Sawtusk Demolisher on turn 3 or turn 4 and just attack with like a 7/7 right away. We haven't seen it be too good so far. I mean, there are a couple like Twitter screenshots and whatnot, but this card has underperformed slightly. It's a pretty cool card, but I don't think it has a ton going for it. Also, the fact that the Beast Within effect is just straight up worse than Gemrazor. In most scenarios, it can hit lands, but they get a 3/3, which is a pretty big downside, especially if you want to be attacking. So this card, not super impressed with it. Next up, we've got Collected Conjuring, a pretty cool card from Modern Horizons that's making its way into Historic. This card is a lot less versatile, and it has a lot less uses than Collected Company, being in 2 colors, being a sorcery, and just in general, there are a lot of like creatures you want to be playing for 3 mana, a lot less just 3-drop sorceries that you want to like put in your deck and do all kinds of fun stuff with. Collected Conjuring is good with stuff like spells that you can cheat out. For example, like Crashing Footfalls plus Collected Conjuring in Modern. You You can get some rhinos early, but we don't have the tools for this card quite in Historic. I think it's a very interesting card though, so I'm excited to see if it can do something in the future. Next up, we've got just a couple of bulk multicolored cards. Abomination of Llanowar. Just a solidly statted creature, but without an ETB effect at 3 mana. Requiring setup, not great. Hamza, Guardian of Eretion, just a kind of like commander-ish kind of card. Definitely could see playing some more janky, homebrew kind of decks, but not at the top tables. I don't think we'll see this card. And then we've got the colorless cards. Now, starting off pretty strong with Blinkmoth Nexus. This is a land that taps for colorless, but does not enter the battlefield tapped, and it's a creature land. You can pay 1 for it to become a 1/1 artifact with flying, or pay 1 to tap it and give a Blinkmoth creature +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, the second ability is actually really only useful since we don't have other Blinkmoths. The turn you play Blinkmoth Nexus, if you make it a creature, it can't attack. If you got another Blinkmoth Nexus, you can make that into a creature, pump it. So it's got some minor applications, but really, this card, colorless land that turns into a 1/1 flyer, and this card has been pretty good. Like, it's seen some play in mono white, and creature lands tend to be pretty good, especially when they come in untapped, though that's the downside of colorless land. I don't think this card's going to be as good as Faceless Haven in decks that can run Faceless Haven a lot of the time, but it's still a very solid option, and definitely a card to keep an eye out on. Next up, we've got just like a not very crappy, but in terms of actually being playable, kind of crappy equipment. Bone Splitter is just cheap equipment that gives +2/+0, but it's probably not going to see very much play. Now, next up, we've got Cold Steelheart. This card is actually pretty strong. Gives the third playset of 2 mana rocks to the colorless ramp deck, so that card is very good in there. That deck has been in a bit of an uptick lately, especially since it can grab Grafticus Cage, deal with sack, but still not quite where it needs to be. This card also makes the Black Splash more easy for stuff like Extinction Event, and Cold Steelheart definitely pretty solid. However, I don't think it's going to do a ton. We haven't seen it do a ton so far, and I think it'll just be a kind of fringe playable, useful thing. If you want like snow or something, then it'd be pretty nice. But apart from that, this card's solid but unimpressive. Next up, we've got Inspiring Statuary. This card really should have been in Kaladesh Remastered. Because this card is just super sweet, like a build around, but I don't know why it's in the anthology. Like, couldn't they have just put all these, like, 6, 7, 8, just like random cards that could have been in remaster sets and just fill the anthology with cooler stuff? Like, why can't we get, like, Bob in here? Completely forgot the name of the card I'm referring to as Bob, so I'm just gonna put it on the screen. Oh, I remembered it. Okay, Dark Confidant. Yeah, why could they put, like, stuff like Dark Confidant in here? They said they were going to do it at some point, or, like, in the other stuff, but I mean, either way, I'm glad to see Inspiring Statuary. It's a 3-mana artifact. Non-artifact spells you control have Improvise, so you can tap artifact to help you pay colorless for non-artifact spells, sort of like Convoke, but with artifact. And this card doesn't have too many applications in terms of competitive decks, but it can do some pretty fun stuff with cards like Sai and with like Paradoxical Outcome, for example. I actually played a mono blue Paradoxical Outcome deck on stream with this card, and it was pretty fun. We actually won some games, which is really surprising. Ended up with a winning record too, so if you want to see me play live on stream, you can check out my stream at twitch.tv/omithopter. Just had to stick it in there, and we'll move on. This card, janky, fun, not good. Should have been in the remastered set, but still got to see here. And finally, last card is Sword of Body and Mind. Now this card, it's a sword, but it's one of the worst swords, unfortunately. 3 mana, 2 to equip. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 protection from green and blue, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, and that player mills 10 cards. So Sword of Body and Mind, it's pretty unimpressive. Like, protection from green and blue is worse than protection from other colors. Since green and blue tend to have less removal, though in the sideboard, like a mono green aggro deck for the mirror or whatever, this could be very strong. But also the effect upon hitting like a 2/2 green with creature token, that's pretty good. But milling 10 cards is honestly not going to be very impactful in a deck that's just playing a bunch of creatures. So I don't see the card doing very much. There's also not a ton of support for equipment. Like there's, I guess, like Fervent Champion and, you know, like a couple other cards, maybe like Halvar and stuff, but out of ton. However, this card is pretty high in raw power. I haven't seen it do too much yet, but there's definitely potential for this card, and it could definitely be a sideboard card in like Agrimir's or something, so definitely a card to keep an eye out on. Alright, so that is all 25 cards from the anthology. So overall, my thoughts on the anthology, I mean, I'm happy there's an anthology, but I have some serious concerns with this one. There are a lot of cards that are like kind of like junk, should have been in the remastered set, I think, just like taking up space, just a lot of them, you know, like Adorned Pouncer and Torment of Scarabs, you know. So, and I feel like they're a little bit more this time. So, this anthology, while I'm glad there's an anthology, it's a little worse than the others, I think. It's almost not worth it to buy, even for me. And actually, I should probably say a few words on this. If you haven't already bought the anthology and you're considering buying it, only buy it if you are planning on playing a lot of the cards and you really have like gold to spare. If you're really just like running wildcard to wildcard, you're trying to build the next tier 1 deck, and you're just buying packs, drafting, or whatever, don't buy this, because you end up with a lot of cards that you probably won't use. Only a couple of cards that will really see, only a couple of rares or mythics, I should say, that will really see play, and you can just craft those playsets and use the 4,000 gems or 25,000 gold, which is a lot, by the way, to do other stuff with. So this anthology, it's a lot for a lot of kind of junky cards, so definitely check yourself to see if you actually want to end up buying this. I did buy it because I tend to just stay up to date with that kind of stuff, but I also play a lot, so my position, I understand, can be different from other people. Also, that being said, if you're not free to play, you're spending money on the game, and you're not worried about keeping up, this is a solid buy because you do get a lot of rares for your money. So really just up to you and where you see yourself using these cards and how much you're really playing. So yeah, my overall thoughts on this, as I said before, I'm worried about the amount of just like bulk stuff and stuff that should have been in remastered sets. Past that, there are a lot of cards that I'm excited for, but less, like, it's a little bit underwhelming. So I think I give this like a 4 out of 10, like, or actually that's probably not fair. I give this like a 6 out of 10. It's I think the worst of the 4 anthologies, but it's an anthology, so I'll take it where I can get it. Alright, so that's it for me talking. Now, let's get into some gameplay. So I'll be back in right now. Alright, I'm back, and you thought I was done talking? Well, you're wrong, because I'm still talking, because I forgot that we have to talk about the deck we're playing. So, this is Rakdos Death Shadow. This is my take on it. It's a Dreadhorde Arcanist variant of it, and I'll just go through it quickly because I've already been talking for like 20 years. So yeah, what is this deck trying to do? Well, it's a Death Shadow deck that's trying to, lower its own life total as soon as possible, as fast as possible. That is permitted by the mana base of just a bunch of lands that deal you a bunch of damage. And past that, it's got aggressive elements. It's got some cheap removal, Thoughtseize as interaction, as well as a couple duresses, and then a spells kind of backup plan, sub-theme kind of thing with Soul Mage, bunch of cheap spells, Shock, and Crash Through. Crash Through, which is surprisingly good because it gives trample to the big creatures, and then we've got Dread Darkness to flash those back, and Kazula's Fury as a way to fling a big creature as our top end. We've got these, which can be cast, but are most often just lands that deal you 3 damage. If your Deadlands and Ramunap Ruins help lower life total and keep it controlled. One Blade Step Pathway should be 4, but I am low on wildcards. Probably should not have bought the anthology, to be honest. And yeah, but I definitely play 4 of these. Cut like a couple of Canyon Sloughs, maybe a Kazul's Fury or something for them. But or maybe I just like play 3 of them. But yeah, Blade Step Pathway, and then we've got 1 Canyon Slough, which is just because I'm low on wildcards. And yeah, I mean, past that, like, we've got just the classic aggressive stuff. We've got 4 Knight of the Legion and 4 Soul Skirmish as 1-drops, Shock, Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, Duress as interaction, and Dreadhorde Darkness, Scourge of Cataclysm, and Death Shadow as our sort of like ender game threats. More end game, actually. Ender is not really a word. Now, this deck, I'm playing in best of 1. Skullorus as well, since no permanents above 2 mana. I'm playing in best of 1 because I think it's a lot better in best of 1 than best of 3. However, do you want to play in best of 3? This is a sideboard I'd start out with. Some extra removal, Cling to Dust to grind against control, 2 more duresses because they're good against control, some more removal, Noxious Grasp, 2 Croxes to help grind against control, and 2 Vicious Vengeance against stuff like goblins or elves, or really just there are a lot of tribal decks running out in Historic for some reason right now, so Vicious Vengeance could be very good against those. Now, why I think this deck is better in Best of 1, it's a lot more proactive than you want to be in Best of 3. In Best of 1, you want to be proactive because you don't really have time to adjust to what your opponent's doing and trying to like play both removal and counter spells in your control deck. It's a little bit awkward. This deck's also faster, and Best of 1 tends to be faster than Best of 3, and it's harder to get hated out. Also, there are a lot of less Jund sack players in Best of 1 I've noticed, which is something this deck really struggles against. So if you can just play against auras and moderate a bunch of times, you should be off much better. Alrighty, welcome to game number 1, and I do have to remember to say game, not match, because these are Best of 1 games, which is something I haven't done before on this channel, so curious to see how it does. And of course, let me know in the comments if you have a strong opinion about whether I should play Best of 1 or Best of 3. I'm probably gonna continue playing Best of 3 most of the time, but definitely open to changing it out if that's what the people want, you know? So looks like my opponent is on Boros Aggro. Definitely possibility for an equipment sub-theme, since there are a lot of equipments in Historic Anthology 4 and stuff like that. And there is Bone Splitter, which I just spent several minutes dissing earlier in the video, so I really hope I don't lose to it now. I'm going to trade with Soulscry Mage, and so far, it's not great. I mean, it got in for some extra damage, but probably Charger still traded, still would have traded. You know, nothing too exciting going on here, but yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see, right? I'm actually pretty excited to play against an Equipments deck, because now I get to beat it and prove my point. And I'm really gonna ignore the fact that there's a possibility that I lose and just look really dumb here, because I would not like that. Ew, yikes. Okay, huh? Are they gonna re-equip it? Is that their plan? That's very interesting. You know, because Bone Splitter would give Fireblade Charger haste, so they could just equip it and then attack. I don't know. I don't know what my plan is. Either way, I'm going to cash through here before doing anything just to gain extra information. If near Deadlands. Alright, interesting. So let me Thoughtseize them then. Just see what's going on. And then I'm probably going to end up playing Knight of the Legion. The question is, do I want to pay extra life or not? I'm actually very curious to see what's going on in my opponent's hand. Or are they going to cast something? They are. Okay, that was their plan. Interesting. Okay, so in that case, probably just want to play Knight of the Legion, but not grow it. Now this way I have some blockers. I'm gonna be able to cast this Shadow Skull Smashing as well. Problem is, these 3 damage off the Bone Splitter could become a problem. Wait. They just, hold on. No, they're still in their main phase. I thought they passed it for a second, but yeah, that's a problem. They're going to equip Shadow Spear now and make their Fireblade Charger quite big. And now, I mean, I'm gonna have a hard time dealing with this for sure. Just now, every single one of the creatures is a big threat for me. It's a problem. A pretty big problem. Luckily for me here, they don't get to kill my whole board. Now they have to decide if they want to go face or kill my knight. And they go for my knight. That's very good. That is very, very, very good. I almost cannot stress how good that is, except I can, because I can save a lot of times. Now I get to pay 3 life and Shadow Skull Smashing the Fervent Champion, whereas before I wouldn't have been able to do that because I would just die. So that is very good for me that they didn't go face. And now this Death Shadow also means that I can just play a massive beater that's going to block a lot of what they do if they don't kill me this turn. Ooh, okay. Hold on. So next turn, that is a 4-2 double strike. Yeah, that's fine, right? Because it doesn't kill Death Shadow. Easy. Death Shadow, just too good. I mean, like, what is my opponent going to do it against a 9/9? Tell you what to do. They'll draw another creature and absolutely ruin my day. Okay, well, that's not good. Hmm. Still don't technically get to do very much, though, do they? They do. I'm dead. Oh, come on. Really? I'm really gonna lose to unequipment stack after I made fun of it. I'm gonna lose to Bone Splitter. Okay, well my opponent just missed lethal. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter if the cards are good if my opponent doesn't know how to play them. Like, you know? You know? You know? Okay, well I am very lucky that I'm not dead because my opponent could just attack with Fireblade Charger. It dies, deals me 4 damage, and I'm dead. Now, I'm still pretty dead if they realize that, but I mean, if they give me a couple turns to set up here, like, they're gonna lose the game eventually. That's just gonna happen, you know? The question is what I want to do here. So my end game is to, if near Deadlands, the Fireblade Charger, and only take 2 damage from it. But I can't do that this turn, so I think I'm just playing Dread Arcanist and, actually, no, I'm duressing them, because I might as well. Just see what's going on in their hand. Could be like a Resolute Strike. It's just a land, thank God. Though I guess I knew it wasn't a creature because I didn't play a creature, and now I'll just play Dread Arcanist, and Agape's Awakening tapped. So now I have just one more turn of being a little bit stressed because they could just do something very bad to me. But then next turn, my life gets a lot better. Still, of course, depends what they draw. They're attacking. They are attacking. Okay, what does that mean? Because that's not good. It's quite bad. I need to prevent it from dying, right? So what prompted their attack is probably because they realized that it was going to die out of the Deadlands anyway. So I can't just block with Death Shadow. I can't block with Lurrus because they'll first strike it. So I need to double block like this. Which leaves me on 1 life. Cool. I mean, I guess this is what I have to do though to stay alive. They hit me for 3? They have a Resolute Strike, I'm dead. They gain literally 1,000,000 life, but Fireblade Charger doesn't die. I think they, again, technically missed lethal, because they could have... Yeah, no. They missed lethal. They missed lethal again, because what my opponent could have done is they could have assigned damage so that neither of the creatures died, then normal damage happens and Fireblade Charger dies and deals me 4, so that's the second time my opponent's missed lethal. Which is quite good for me. So what I'm gonna do now is attack with Lurrus. My whole turn is just Deadlandsing this Fireblade Charger no matter what. I need to attack with Lurrus to gain life so I can do that. So if they make a block here, I want them to make a block here. They don't make a block. So this means that I am, again, just dead. If my opponent plays this correctly, or can I do something about it? No, I'm just dead. Unfortunate. Okay, so, yeah, unfortunately, like, equipment is good against a deck with a bunch of removal. My opponent just drew really, really well. Like, they had a fast start, exactly 2 equipment, exactly like the 4 lands, or the 4 mana. And now I'm just in a lot of trouble. Surely don't. Oh my god. Okay, I guess I'm just getting free rolled this game. Now I'm not dead, I don't. Actually, no, I'm still dead, aren't I? Oh, I'm super dead to this Golden Cavalier. Oh, I made fun of it. Wait, what? No, I'm still. Oh my god. I'm actually losing to the cards that I made fun of. They're really just. They're gonna early GG me too. Yikes. Okay, well, you know what? My excuse is that it's a bad. Wow. I just literally lost to the 2 cards I made fun of from this Dark Anthology. And it's the first game too. I'm not gonna like switch around the order, so the first thing everyone's seeing right now is just me just eating my words. Sick. Anyway, let's just do this untapped, just to send a message. Mostly I'm doing this because I don't know how much life I want to play with If Near Deadlands. I might need to get myself really low really quick if I draw a Death Shadow. Or if my opponent is playing a deck that isn't very likely to... I should have paid a life there manually. A deck that isn't very likely to be pushing my life total, since I let on a Sultai land, which probably means they're a control deck. Oh, okay. Well, first off, I win the game. Like, there's no way I can lose this matchup, especially not with Uro gone. And second off, my opponent is doing something real spicy. Real dang spicy. So I'm going to take Kethis, because that's their main kind of like card that does things. And then I'm going to Fatal Push, Diligent Excavator. And then I'm going to Crash Through. Yeah, because why not? I mean, I should have done that in a different order where I saw more cards before making decisions, but it is mostly fine. Now I take Linvala. Now all they can do is play Resolve. I Fatal Push it, flashback, Crash Through, draw a card, play another Shadow Darkness. And then from there, I just need to deal with Vraska, and I'm just chilling. I mean, Vraska's just going to kill one creature and then die, right? So I just need to hit something just like alright. You know, some extra board presence and other Thoughtseize of Duress, and this game's pretty much over. I mean, this is a really good matchup for me, because my opponent is just playing a lot of kind of cheap creatures, you know, trying to assemble a critical mass that just sort of gets beaten by what I'm doing. Especially since they don't pressure my life total, so they're also not really going to punish me for trying to deal them a bunch of damage. I guess I'm gonna Fatal Push them now by paying life. Boom. Yeah, and I'm just gonna play a Dread Arachnist. I could also bring Lars to hand or like hold up Cthulhu's Fury or something like that, but honestly, I think I should just let them play Vraska and then see what they do. Or not. I mean, they weren't dead there, so I don't know exactly why they scooped, but they were definitely behind. I really only need like one more good draw, but still think they shouldn't have scooped. But hey, I mean, I'll take it. That was a pretty good start from us. There was just like a small risk we could run out of gas a bit, but yeah, anyway, I mean, I'm playing best of one, so I can just run off a bunch in a row, so why don't we just go into another one? Alright. Okay, well, I keep this. I keep this hand. My opponent's playing Umori, so Stress is probably not going to be great, assuming they're playing creatures. If they're not playing creatures, this is also much spicier. Okay, well, surely they're playing creatures, right? Surely my opponent's a creature deck. At least I get to peek with their hand with Dress. But Fable Passage? Okay. Like, Winota's not legal any. Oh, Surely they're creatures. Yeah, they do be creatures though. Right, so let's just dress them to see what's going on, and then I'm gonna shock this Lotus Cobra. And this is good for me, like, I get to shock the Lotus Cobra, that's a strong play. Yeah, I don't take anything, but that's fine. A little bit disappointing, but it's fine. Next turn I start to get, I get to play Scoreless Skyclaves at a solid size. This Scavenging Ooze is going to be annoying, but I also can just shock it if that's what they go for this turn. If they go for Llanowar Elves because they're short on mana, okay, well, never mind. Either way, Scavenging Ooze, okay. Ooh, and they play Llanowar Elves on the same turn. Okay, that's good. That is good for me. So I'm just gonna attack with Soul Scrimmage, see what they do. They let it through. I guess I'm just gonna shock the Scavengers. Scavengers is just gonna be a massive problem for me. I don't want to let that thing live. I just want to get them low enough to where I can just fling Scourge of Skyclaves at them for lethal. Possibly combine with a Crash Through to give it trample. That seems like a very fun play to make. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what my opponent's going to do here. I mean, eliminating their source of life gain is really good. The problem is, Yasharn sort of turns off my Kazul's Fury, which is real annoying. Hopefully I can, like, draw a Fatal Push or something. What am I doing here? Does Skull Smashing on tap, scores of Skyclaves. Play at 5/5. Your go. And I'm probably just gonna continue if near Deadlandsing my life total down, since I do need to get my life total down in case I start hitting them for a bunch of damage. Kinda need to draw something here though. Since we're kind of at parity, can't let this Knight of the Reliquary get out of hand, and I sort of need to deal with this Yasharn, and that's an Archon of Emeria? Really? Really? Oh, I can't pay life. Okay, sick. Alright. Well. Okay. You know what? That could have been a worse draw. In that case, I'm just gonna attack with both. And just Aghanim's Awakening them back? No, that's not how that card works. Or is it just no attacks? I guess it's no attacks then. In that case. Do I really have to play Kazul's Fury? I guess I do, because I'm gonna have a way to use my extra mana. Feels bad though. So I see Yasharn's really causing me problems. Really causing me problems. And now they're gonna start going off their Nether. That's a Valken. Yuck. That is sick nasty. That is certainly unkind. But hey, I get to attack Scourge of Skyclaves here. Could be worse, you know? Ooh, they blocked the Yasharn. Okay, well I'm gonna... Here's the thing though. I can't kill Knight of the Reliquary, so I just have to go for Yasharn. Because they can Knight of the Reliquary to sack a land, get a Fabled Passage, get 2 lands in the graveyard. They already have a land in the graveyard, so that's gonna be 3 lands, it's gonna be a 5/5, and Valkima will mean that it doesn't die, yeah. Either way, though, I mean, it's unfortunate that I played the Shadow Skull or the Kazul's Cliffs. Now I'm regretting doing that, but I didn't expect them to. Oh no! Oh my god! Why? Are you kidding me? It even asked me, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll deal 4 damage." No. This stupid Valkima, the Valkmira, stupid mirror, just prevents one of the damage. Why can I not just deal all my damage? Like, it even asked me, and I was like, yup, like, why can't you just do it yourself, Arena, please? Oh my god, I am upset. Oh boy. Okay, that, I really don't want to talk about that one. It hurts. Wow, that was... Why is this tapped? What? What? Okay, I am actually, holy crap. You know what? I have to do this thing for 2 and target the Yasharn. It costs 1 extra because of the Valkmira. And I can't even kill, like, the Llanowar Elves because it's freaking reduced by 1. Oh my god. It's so bad. And the thing is, like, Lyris doesn't even work because I can't cast multiple spells in a turn. Oh boy. Okay, well, I've played better games of Magic. I actually can't believe that. I'm so just tilted. Just like straight up tilted. I don't even know, like, I don't win this game anymore. I just don't want to concede. I only gained 2 life because of Valkmir too. Oh boy. Yeah, they got me. They sure got me. Yeah, I deserve to take the damage too. I'm not gonna scoop, I'm just gonna let them hit me. I honestly just don't think I could have played that game any worse. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go take some time to recover emotionally from that game. Still play some more, but if I'm like, yeah, I'm just I'm gonna stop playing Magic for a bit. Well, I'll see you back in time for next game. Alrighty, welcome to match number 4. Technically, it should be match number 5, but I just lost in 15 seconds due to a bad hand with a bunch of duresses against Mono White, and I conceded on turn 3 because there was no way I was gonna win. So I'm not even gonna bother showing that. They just played 1, 2, 3, and I had nothing. Either way, though, this is actually just an amazing hand no matter which way you slice it. Like, doesn't matter what my opponent is playing. This hand is going to be incredibly good against them because I've got Thoughtseize into Dread or Darkness, which is probably the best start in this deck, or one of the best starts in this deck, and it's just insane because you could take their like removal spell or whatever for Dread or Darkness, and then, yeah, so I get to take their Thoughtseize now, and then next turn they just do nothing, and then I play Dread or Darkness, and they play Mind Stone, or do I? So on second thought, I'm just gonna play. Come on, tap correctly. Play Soul Scrimmage and just Thoughtseize away their Mind Stone. Because Mind Stone is really good in my opponent's deck. Like, as soon as I have a Mind Stone rolling, their whole deck just speeds up a turn, so I want to prevent that. It looks like they're Rakdos Control, which is a deck that I honestly don't see around that much. That's pretty cool. But I mean, this game's not going to last very much longer if it keeps going like this. I'll just play a 4/4 Death Shadow. Next turn it's a 5/5, potentially bigger if I shock myself. And then I'm going to Thoughtseize myself as well. Like, that's a lot of damage. They're dead on turn 5 after getting Thoughtseized how many times? Okay. So I guess we'll just go ahead and pay my life. Play my Dread or Darkness. I'll Thoughtseize my opponent before I do anything else, see what they've got going on. Could be a removal spell on one of my creatures here, which would affect how I'm shocking. Yeah, sure, that's fine, I guess. Then I'm just gonna shock their face. Thoughtseize you, let's see what we've got. Oh, okay, I guess I'll grab a Shadow's Verdict then. Not much of a choice there, and I'll just shock my opponent's face. I mean, they're dead pretty quick, even with that. They take 3 damage a turn, but it's 4 damage because of prowess. Can also shock them. So yeah, they're just gonna be dead really, really fast now. I can go ahead and Thoughtseize them down to 4 and then shock them. So shock, prowess, Thoughtseize, take their Shadow's Verdict. They have like 1 turn to draw something. Technically 2 turns, but yeah, and I'm not going to overextend it to a board wipe. Also, nice thing is that Castle Locthwain isn't turned on anymore, so they have no way of getting card advantage, and that's an Angrath. Shoot. Hold on, what can I do with this? Not much, luckily. They sacrifice, but then Angrath dies. They get to Thoughtseize me, but They're not going to do that because that would put them too low. Okay, well, I mean, I'm just going to play Lurrus. This puts them more dead next turn if they don't have anything. And if they do have anything, I could just rebuild with what I've got anyway. Like, now they're just dead on board, which is something I want. Okay, Karn. What can I get with Karn, though? For 1 mana that keeps them alive, I'm sure there's something, right? And they have a big sideboard, so 15 whole cards. Doesn't look like it, though. Okay, well, that was a very quick game. Picking up the win there, so get to even out the previous game. And, yeah, I mean, that was just exactly what this deck wanted to do. Just disrupt them and win really quickly. Alright, welcome to game number 6 against Operator Zero, and let's see if we're on the player draw. We're on the draw with another just amazing hand. Dang, okay. Yeah, I like this hand. You know what? What is this, a turn 2 Death Shadow? Or is it a turn 2 Death Shadow? Hold on, let's lead on Nightly Legion. And then probably gonna go Thoughtseize plus something else on turn 2, turn 3 Death Shadow. Okay. Possibly even a Scourge of Skyclips on turn 3 as well. And this is just very good. Problem is, I am going to be dealing myself a lot of damage, but it's probably fine. It's a little bit annoying. That is a little bit annoying. Okay, well, I'll definitely take Ravaging Freestyle, and that's just a threat. And then play Soulscar Mage? I could play Death Shadow, but I don't want to run it out quite yet. So I guess I just play Soulscar Mage. Won't be able to play Scourge of Skyclaves quite yet, though. Actually, no, I will be able to. Especially if they pay life here off the Stramenop Ruins, because it's their only red source, and then they have very little time to draw another Bone Crusher. Okay. Yeah, now they get to play Llanowar Elves. But to be honest, I'm not too worried, because I just get to play 2 massive threats here. And you know what? I'm even gonna pay life to make this Death Shadow a little bit bigger, because I think I need to be honest. And then, yeah, so now I have decent blocks. If they have an Embercleave here, I'm pretty dead, but I guess they don't have a... Okay, they don't have a second red source, actually, so I don't even need to play around it. Main phase Collected Company, that's fine. Just need to hope that they don't hit something too good. I'd say they did hit pretty good, actually. Oh, that's not good. So they're going to attack with Voltaic Brawler. I can allow that. Grow my Death Shadow. So, I mean, if they ever draw a second red source, I'm dead to cleave, but I guess there's not much I can do about that. So, I guess I'm just what? Chump blocking? I'm gonna have to end up just chump blocking. So I don't have time to bring theirs to hand. This is actually really awkward. They just have too many attackers. Like I just had a little bit of scuffed curve out because of that stomp on my Nightly Legion, and I dealt myself a bunch of damage so I could block with my Death Shadow. And they have the Gruul Spellbreaker. Okay, then I think I'm just dead. That's frustrating. Maybe they miss lethal here. I think they have it, though. Don't they make this attack? No, they're going to attack with Spell Collector as well. And the Gallia, because they might as well. And then, I mean, surely at that point they realize they can... My opponent could go too conservative. Hold on, I'm gonna... Oh, they might think I have, like, a Fatal Push or something. It would have probably held full control to bluff it. And just, like, paused before combat as well, just to really... Just, like, tell them that I've got a Fatal Push, because that could definitely give them some pause. Because if this combat goes badly for them, it's going to go very badly. What? That is so good for me. I can't even stress how incredibly amazing this attack is for me. I mean, my opponent just had me dead to rights. They could just swing out. And I mean... I get where they're coming from, where they're just playing around like a removal spell or something, but this is, I mean, just amazing for me. It is just incredible. I can go to 4 here and kill the Gallia, which I think is what I want to do. do I want to do that? Yeah, I do want to do that. And then I just have blocks still. I go to 4, but that's fine. And then, I mean, if I draw Kazul's Fury, I can have lethal with this Death Shadow, I think. So if I draw that, this game is really close. I mean, I need them not to have very much. Like, if they have a Stomp, I'm probably dead, or... Again, I'm just terrified of Embercleave. No, don't hit anything too good, please. Okay, well, at least it doesn't have haste. That's all I really can say. It's not good, though. I really need to draw something now. Really need to draw something now. Badly. I mean, Kazul's Fury would do it. So I guess I just have to cast Crash Through, right? 3 attackers. Yes, I'm dead on board if they just attack, and this doesn't affect me bringing lures to hand. Seize doesn't do it. So do I try to hold on for one more turn? I mean, they're like, I'm dead on board, but they've already shown me once before that they're just absolutely terrified of what I have. Or I could just attack. Or I could just attack with just Dreadhorde Arcanist. That doesn't really help me. So I think I just... if I cast this Crash and draw Kazul's Fury, I'm gonna be unhappy. It's very... So if I think I can survive, then I shouldn't make the attack. I guess going to 3 doesn't really change that, so I guess I'll just cast it. Auto pay. It's not gonna do it. Okay, well, yeah. So now I just do nothing, and I'm just gonna set stops throughout their turn to try to bluff. But I think I'm just dead here. I mean, they should just attack. They're even stomping. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna tank here. I desperately need to bluff, though. If that's an Embercleave, then it's probably just game. Okay, I think I can let them go to combat now. Please don't swing out. Please don't swing out. Please don't swing out. Please don't swing out. Yep. Well, all right. They got me. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. They just overran me early. If I was on the play, I could have had a much better shot to win that game, but they just spent all their mana every turn, and it was just enough to beat what I was doing. Unfortunate. That game was unfortunate. It was kind of close towards the end, but my opponent just had the advantage the whole time. Kept it from turn number 1 and just let them win the game ultimately. But hey, I mean, happens, you know. Like I don't think like I think if I was on the play on the game there, I would have had a much better shot to win the game. But hey, I mean, that's just how it is. Like, a lot of the time, play draw is just what changes the game. Unfortunately, I can't keep this one lander, even though it's a good one lander. Okay, I mean, I guess I'll keep this. Do I bottom a Dreadhorde Arcanist or what? I guess I do, right? I want to keep the Thoughtseize. Yeah, I don't need the second Dreadhorde Arcanist, so why not? I want to start out with this Shadow Skull Smashing. Okay, because I'm probably going to need to get myself pretty low pretty quick here if I draw something. See what they've got. Stratego. So my opponent's a board game enthusiast. Green Source, Llanowar Elves. Yikes. That's not what I was hoping to see, to be honest. This is just Gruul again. I'm gonna be on the play, but I'm also gonna be in a bad spot. So, oh yeah, it's a Gruul Spellbreaker. That's less than ideal. They attacked though. They attacked. Okay. So I guess I'll cast my Crash Through. See what I draw. Nothing good. Well, I mean, my hand's just forced here. I just have to start playing creatures. There's just no alternative, unfortunately. Yeah, I need to draw a removal spell. desperately. If I draw like a Bloodchief's Thirst or Fatal Push or something, then I'm in a good spot. That's not good for me. Could be worse, but they hit their land drop, so it is worse. So it is much worse. All right. Right. I need a Death Shadow off the top. I really need a Death Shadow off the top right now. Or a removal spell. Come on, something good, yikes. Okay, well, attack with one of the Dread or Darkness. Let's try to draw something. Come on. Shock. Shock is good. Shock is something. They don't block here, I'll bring Lurrus to hand, but okay, they went for it. So, I mean, this is not enough, but it's a start. It's definitely a start. And stem the bleeding a little bit. The counterattack with Llanowar Elves, so I'm only taking 3 this turn. My mana base is really, really painful, but I mean, that's just the downside. I'm just going to be unfavored in every single aggro matchup. Let's see what they have here. It all depends on what they have. If they have a collected company here, I'm just... What? Arnie? What's that doing in their deck? It's not a good card. Okay, still probably going to beat me though. 3/3 haste, just unbeatable, and they shock that land in as well. Yeah, I mean, this is the awkward side of the deck when you just don't hit your mana and you're sitting there just like pressing your opponent. Unfortunate. Well, yeah, this game's just over. I just want to see what they've got. What is it? They're just gonna stomp me just in case. Just rub it in. They are. Okay. And they had the Embercleave. Alright. Well, I mean, I was never in that game. Anyway. So, yeah, it's going to be the video. Ended up with something like a 3-3 record. Overall, or something like that. I mean, overall, the deck's, obviously the deck's not tier 1. I wouldn't call it that, but it's definitely very fun. And it's one of the best Death Shadow decks, unfortunately. Like, as I've been saying before, Death Shadow's not positioned super well at the moment, in the format overall. But, we did decently. Like, we did, just lose a couple games there, but when the deck does win games, especially against control, you just got, like, a massive Death Shadow down on like turn 3. Like, it just feels really good. So that the deck definitely has that going for it. Overall changes I would make to the deck, maybe I'd make the mana base less painful, add more flings, stuff like that. Like maybe you want Thud or something in the main deck, but at the end of the day, I mean, you can just pretty much play this deck how you want, since it's not a real competitor in terms of like competitive viability. So you can just play what's most fun for you if you're already going to play this deck. And yeah, that's going to be the video. Thank you all so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end. Let me know down in the comments if you liked the discussion part of the video, because if you did, I'll definitely do more. And of course, apologies for just not uploading. There was like stuff going on. I don't know if I can keep a consistent schedule, to be honest, at the moment, but I'll still definitely keep uploading when I can, even if I don't know when that is. So thank you all so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.